So let's see if we get a few people jump in. We probably will, so we're just going to run straight into it. Today I'm super excited to have an incredible guest, Ryan Ammon. Say hi, Ryan.
Hello, everyone. Welcome.
Ryan Ammon is a good friend of mine. He's an incredible photographer and a big inspiration. I've definitely been following your work for a long time. So you've shaped a lot of what I do as well as a photographer. So and you're just generally a great person. So I think you're going to share a lot of valuable insight today into the world of photography, arts, and creativity. Ryan is a university lecturer. He is also a commercial photographer and a wedding photographer. He shoots a broad range of different things and has a very I guess a solid practice in photography and the arts. I'm going to say
I try to. Yeah,
you extend across many different things. What's up, Abud? Good to have you in the podcast. Feel free to ask any questions, mate. Ryan is an incredible guest. He's going to share a lot of really valuable things today. Ryan, maybe just jump in and chat about what you do, man.
Oh, what do I do? I don't know. That can be a bit of a tricky question because sometimes I feel like I do too many things. So I guess everything kind of the way that I feel about what I do is that I feel like I've got all these little part-time jobs, but they all kind of come under the umbrella of photography and videography.
Yeah.
So, because I do so many different categories or genres of photography, like it's not just one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'll do events, I'll do commercial, I'll do weddings, I'll do product photography, I'll do portraits.
And
then I teach on top of that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like photography and videography is a bit of a vessel for me to experience life and the things around me. So everything's kind of all encompassed under those two kind of things. So I guess the easy answer is I do photography and videography. But
as a live practitioner,
every day is very different. Yeah.
You're a lifelong practitioner of photography and the arts, I'd say.
Yeah. So my evolution into photography came quite naturally. Like even as a kid, I remember I got my first camera when, I can't remember how old I was, but I just went to the Perth Royal show and one of the show bags had a camera in it. And so I'm like, that's all I wanted from the show. I just wanted this show bag, which had a camera in it. It was a film camera back then, which is kind of showing my age. But I just wanted this camera. And then once I got that, I used to love watching Star Wars movies and I would get my toys and kind of set them up in all these cinematic poses. I used to have my Ninja Turtles and I would put them, create all these little scenes and I would take pictures of them with my camera. And that was kind of my first way to practice composition and arrangement. And I didn't really need to know manual settings or anything back then because it was just a point and shoot
camera.
Yeah. But then from there, that kind of, I just felt like I had a bit of a natural drawing or a natural instinct to the photography side of things, but then I never thought of it as a proper career. Even growing up, I was like an amateur musician for 6 years, and so I figured that I wasn't going to make any money doing photography. I just wanted to pursue the more lucrative industry of being an unsuccessful musician. So From there, I actually went to uni to study music production and graphic design. Yep. So then I could record all my band's music and do all the posters and CD cover art, which I was already doing the graphic design for the band already. So I went to uni to do that. And then while I was doing that, I did electives in photography and videography. I didn't think about doing that as majors before because I figured I already knew everything there was to know about photography, which I was very much completely wrong because the first, at ECU, the first unit that we had to do before going into digital photo media is analog photos. So we had to learn how to use film cameras, we had to learn how to use light meters, manual settings, we had to learn how to develop all of our film. And from there, it kind of forced you to really know your foundations and know your settings, because if you didn't have your settings dialed in, you're not going to get any results. Like I used to lose rolls and rolls of film when we were when I was going through that unit, because I would just I have a very distracted mind, so I just wouldn't pay attention to things. But then it just would reinforce, oh, if I don't listen and if I don't follow the rules of photography, then I'm not going to get the results that I need to get. Yeah. So it was a good foundation to learn the analog stuff before jumping into digital. So then that way, like I could appreciate the ease of digital photography, but also being able to learn manual settings. That's kind of one of my biggest tips for anyone getting into photography. Learn manual settings. Don't use aperture priority. Do not use auto mode. Manual settings is the way.
It's pretty crazy actually, because even in 2025, it still is that way. I think, you know, you just have control of your settings manually allows you. It just opens up a whole new world that you wouldn't have before. But yeah, I think that's a really interesting journey, Ryan, that you've come along. You know, starting at what, 5 years old, 6 years old, something like that, with your first digital camera. But you know, but you know, that's very young. That's you've been doing your whole life, but that's a bit of a journey, you know. I think I kind of relate with that as well. I didn't get into that young, but I got into it about 14 years old, and then, you know, I went to university as well and learned a lot of the fundamentals, you know, with developing film and you know, just general lighting and philosophy of photography in general, and that basis kind of shaped a lot of what I did moving forward. But I think what makes really good photographers is that devotion, that life devotion, right? And doing things like losing rolls of film and going through the kind of thorns to you know, develop your practice as a photographer. Because I don't know about you, but I feel like it's a very hard craft to master. There's so many different assets, different things in different spots. You know, you need to know your composition, then you need to know natural light, artificial light, you need to learn your technology, not only your camera technology, but your Photoshop technology, your Lightroom. Then if you go into video, that opens up a whole new world of stuff, and it's just like there's so much knowledge, you know.
Yeah, it's funny because like a lot of people know that I'm quite diverse with the things that I work with. And I've had multiple people ask me why I don't niche. Like, why don't you just specialize in weddings? Why don't you just do portrait photography? Why don't you just shoot events? Because if you do that and you just lock yourself into that category of photography or videography, it's basically, it gives you the opportunity to rinse and repeat, which can be a good and a bad thing. It's good because it's easy, but why do we want to do the easy stuff? Like, where's the interesting part of life if we're just basically repeating the same thing over and over? Like, I find joy in those challenges of working with new clients, working in different industries. Like I said before, I had a very natural evolution in how I got into photography, and it's still kind of happening today, where I kind of, while I was learning photography, my main focus was in fashion photography. But then doing the fashion stuff, I would get in with the fashion designers and they would have fashion shows, which means that I started photographing their fashion events. And so then I went from very studio-based stuff, very controlled environments, to very much chaotic, crazy environments. The place where I thrived at these events was backstage, having those real connections and real moments with the models, the designers, the stylists, the makeup artists, the hairstylist, all of the people backstage, all of the organizers. That's where like the chaos and the interesting stuff happens there. The catwalk that's kind of what everyone else has access to. Like, that's where everyone's, you know, taking their iPhone pictures and everyone is wanting to get those runway shots. But my interest was very, very much the backstage stuff. Like, it was, that was kind of my first introduction into the photojournalistic side of things. So I teach photojournalism at university as well. So I liked those real connections and those real moments. And so from there, like I loved that experience. And then I was able to carry that across into the event photography and to wedding photography, always in pursuit of those real moments and real emotions where you're kind of helping to showcase the reality of life and different events. Yeah.
I think that's definitely something that you probably have, or this is why you think of photography this way, and you explore so many different facets of photography, because you are a lifelong practitioner of the craft, right? Starting very young and building up over time. It's different to someone who, let's say, started at 21, 23 years old even, you know, and come into photography at that age and then go, well, you probably do need to specialize a little bit more, because you're not going to have the time to explore so many different things and become good at so many different things. But if you've been doing it, you know, since 10 years old, and you've been kind of chipping away, by the time you've hit 21, your world of knowledge is already going to be so much more deep than someone who started it later in life. And you do have that option to be able to explore more areas of photography and be able to do each to a high degree. That's my opinion, at least. I think a lot of people probably I know that a lot of people say to me, like, you niche because it's easier to market, right? And that's like the whole business side of things. Having a niche kind of funnel for your clients is easier to do, which is probably why people ask you that question. But I think I'm kind of against.
Don't really advertise.
You have a strong enough clientele now. Obviously, you've been doing it for long enough. But we can get into the niching later. I really like to stay on the track of like that artistic side of photography, you know, because like you said, you know, you found interest in the photojournalistic stuff and, you know, shooting backstage instead of front stage, what everyone else was capturing. And it reminds me of what my uni lecturer told me. Her name's Tony Wilkinson. Do you know her or heard of her? She's at Curtin University. Yeah. She used to say, point your camera in the other direction. Don't do what everyone else is doing. Try and find the different things. And that's something that I don't just do in the creative practice, but I also do it in business as well. Because I don't necessarily think being a creative, you want to do what everyone else is doing, because then you just become part of the, you know, herd and you don't stand out, and no one will hire you for your unique skill set. Rather, if you differentiate yourself and you do point your camera in the other direction and do things that other people aren't doing, you're going to stand out a lot more, and you're going to be able to attract a lot more attention. And truthfully, I think you could do any style you want as a photographer. It really just depends on how much you stand out and how popular you are, how many people you know.
And it's not just that. It's if you enjoy that particular genre of photography, then of course it's something that you're going to naturally fall into doing that. If you like, I will do product photography every now and then. I do not enjoy product photography. So it is rare when I do it. Like, I have the skill and the know-how to do it. So if someone like does need me to do it, and it's if the dollar signs are big enough, I guess the negative way to approach it, then I will do it. But I generally will follow what I prefer to do, like what I enjoy doing. Like I've kind of even from like having kind of a chaotic year last year, it's kind of just reinforced where I don't need to say yes to every single thing. I can rein it in and just kind of when the inquiries come through, I can have a look at it and feel like that's something that will resonate with me, and I'll actually, you know, I will do a better job doing something that I enjoy versus something that is a pain in the ass. Yeah,
absolutely. It's really hard to get to that point as a photographer, though, I think, to be able to, you know, kind of be selective on the type of work that you have coming through.
It's a time thing. Like,
it's a time.
Yeah. Because I've been doing it for about 11, 12 years now.
Full time.
Yeah, full time. I've built it up so that like I rarely advertise. I've kind of got a well established list of clientele, and then a lot of it's just word of mouth as well. And then people kind of find me. I don't do that much. I should be better at social media, but it's like I'm busy enough doing everything else that I'm doing that I don't have enough time to manage my own social media sort of thing.
Clearly, it's not something that you need to push much more anymore, given the clientele you have established. But it's really interesting, you know, that you see the value still to this day, you know, 11 years on, that you want to take the work that you love so you can do the best job that you can.
I don't always stick to it, and I always fall into a few traps.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's something that, like, I will have kind of waves of time where I forget, and then I start doing stuff that I don't particularly enjoy doing.
Someone said,
And
I
then-
keep updating phones just for the camera. I still take shit pictures. Any advice for them?
If you with phones, it's like if you can learn composition
And lighting.
and lighting, then you kind of you're set to go. When I go traveling, I bought a camera specifically to take traveling. I used my phone 80% of the time just because it's so convenient
easy,
and like the quality is
They're good now. They're good.
They are.
If
There's
you
nothing
enjoy
wrong.
using your phone as a photographer, you should just use your phone because that's one way to get good, right? You know, it's one way to practice photography, in my opinion. But there's a difference between doing that professionally, I guess, and doing it for fun. You kind of do need to probably upgrade from a phone.
I would love to try shooting like a wedding or an event just on
a
an
phone.
iPhone.
Well, that's content creation. Content creation. Should have a content creator coming in soon. We're going to have a chat with her about that industry. But yeah, I think taking work that you love, I find, is super important for me, especially as a wedding photographer specifically. Because corporate, you kind of do just take work sometimes if you know you need the dollar, like today. So today I booked a job and I was like, oh, I don't really know if I want to take it, but it was great pay, and as a business owner, you kind of need to do that sometimes. Well, headshots are a great industry, but yeah, they can get a little dry and it can get repetitive, and then that can cause its own problems of creative fatigue, and then you just don't want to be creative anymore. And then you kind of will inevitably fall behind, I think, right? Because this industry is fast moving. It's changing all the time. Like, you look at even you look AI, for example, and like what that is doing to the industry. AI is part of my everyday workflow now. It's huge. It's like everything I do as a photographer pretty much relies on AI. My autofocusing on my Canon i5 Mark II relies on AI now. It's an AI autofocusing system. So, the industry is just forever evolving, forever changing. And to be able to be someone who is remaining competitive over a long period of time, you need to have that creative drive and you need to have that ambition to continue to learn. So I think it's really important that you do take the work that you enjoy, because otherwise you're just going to get crappy and shitty and people aren't going to want to hire you, right?
Yes and no. Like some of my mentors have been doing what they've been doing forever. Like I guess that's only partially true. Like I know that like they've got the latest updates with the Lightroom and stuff like that. We talk about all of the new features every now and then. But one of them in particular, Duncan, he's still using
Shout out to Duncan.
He's still using DSLRs.
What's up, Chelsea? How you doing?
He's he hasn't gone on to mirrorless yet. Because he loves his camera. He's familiar with it. He produces amazing work. He's got an exhibition that's up at RAC Arena at the moment if you need to check out his work. But he's still doing what he knows and what he's known for doing.
Which is music photography.
Yeah, music. Like he shoots all of the biggest acts that come through Perth, like all of the biggest bands. Anyone who's up on a stage at RAC Arena or at some of the bigger venues as well, he'll be there, like photographing for the event for the clients. Yeah, and he's not using a mirrorless, so
it's still a diverse job though. He's still doing many different things, and music photography is event photography, and event photography is broad in itself. Really, it's. I think. I could see both. I mean, look, for me personally, I definitely prefer to have a few core things that I shoot, but I don't think I ever want to be a single, this is all I do kind of person, because I think I'll burn out that way. Because you just will get bored. Like when I went through university, and I studied there. I remember that I really valued that creativity and being very artistic. Like the work I did at uni had nothing to do with what I do today. Like it was so artistic. I used to like one project that I did, I took a bunch of self-portraits and I printed onto see-through paper and overlaid them, then rephotographed it. just crazy stuff, just like stuff you never do. And, in studio, I would do like all kinds of just experimental stuff. And, but that creativity is, I think that changed the way I think about images, and the way as a professional now, and I'm always trying to take that approach of point your camera in the other direction. Don't do what other people do. Even, like a corporate event, when I started shooting them, a lot of people were shooting them in a certain way, and I was always like, what can I do differently?
Yeah.
And I think university really gave me that foundation and that skill set. And it was almost like a way of thinking. You like develop that like philosophical approach to photography and to life and to just things in general.
Yeah.
As a university professor and someone who's, how long have you taught at uni for?
6 years now, I think. Yeah.
Wow. We're about to talk about AI, Aaron. So if you hang in there a little bit, we have 3 topics that we're talking about today. So the first one's meant to be university. So we're going to dive into university now and start to unpack that a little bit, slowly weaving our way through. This was the introduction. We're just starting to get into it, mate. Hang in there. I know that it's a bit hard to continue watching. A lot of people just drop in and out, but watch it on YouTube or Spotify later. It will be live. But AI and the future of photography is our second topic. But to as a university professor who's been there for a few years now, and you've obviously taught a lot of students and a lot of aspiring photographers, what do you see the benefit of university? And should photographers study university or creatives in general go to university? And take into account it does cost, how much does a photography degree cost? $30,000, $50,000. So, what do you think as a professor?
For me,
Broadway has entered.
Yeah, so for me, I have ADHD, so I have a very distracted mind. So for me to successfully learn something well, it is easier for me to have a structured program and to have to rock up at a particular time and kind of be not spoon-fed, but have more of a structure to my learning, which is what university and TAFE kind of offers. They have, even though you get to choose which units or where you want to focus your practice, my experience was that it gave me a good opportunity to really refine my foundation because there were so many different genres that I could approach while at university. And not only that, I had different lecturers for different units, which meant that in a real world experience, it's like I had all of these different clients with different needs, with different briefs that I was trying to produce work for. So from there, it gave me the opportunity to be experimental and to take different approaches to photography and to videography as well. So I had a very all-rounded experience at university. Whereas if other people who don't go to university are still, there's like some of the photographers much better than me and produce all this amazing work who might not have studied. For me, it was the better choice, but other people, they might just jump on YouTube, watch a few tutorials and are able to kind of get like a decent foundation that way. But I had a very all-round holistic experience at university. And not just that, but the connections and the friendships that I made while at university. So some of my clients today are friends that I made at university because they went on in different directions and worked for media agencies, marketing agencies, different production companies who then still, they get me on board for their different productions and for their different events. And so it was a good opportunity to make those connections and meet, like Duncan he's the head of photo media at ECU. So I was able to meet him and form a good friendship with him. And he gets me a lot of cool work as well as gets me to teach at university as well.
Yeah, interesting. So you found the networking part as well. And yeah, great. I have a few mixed feelings about university. I think my photography degree was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun doing it. I did it for 3.5 years in the end. And, my tutors, Tony and Mike, I learned a whole lot of stuff from them. I did a very creative practice. Like you said, had that holistic approach to photography. You didn't just learn about the technical side, which is what you generally learn on YouTube. You learn a very technical approach, but university gives you a kind of deeper understanding on like a more, on a more kind of, I guess you would say theoretical level, definitely, but also.
One thing that I like to say is that it helped me find the soul in my work. It helped
Yep.
find the purpose and the soul behind it. So I wasn't just creating a pretty image. I was creating work that
put a
had
bit of
meaning
meaning
behind
behind
it.
yeah. And then that's what I was about to say. I think there is a fundamental difference of how people think about photography who did go to university and then who didn't. And I think that definitely contributes to your work in some fields. I don't think it's all fields. So like, for example, my event work, I don't think university contributed very much to how that shaped it, but I think it for my wedding work, it definitely did, because I think about wedding photography a lot differently to most photographers, and that's what I've been told, and I think that attributes to my early days as a university student, and going through that, and then seeing and valuing the creativity of photography, and understanding that wedding's a space you can explore that, and people will pay for it. And I think that's, and maybe as a commercial photographer as well, understanding images on a bit of a deeper level, you're probably able to produce work that's a little bit more sophisticated and a little bit more deep than compared to someone who just learned the technicalities. So I definitely think that there's that. I guess
some genres don't need the soul to it. Like,
no.
Like I remember shooting like a whole ton of shoes for like, I won't say.
Feel free to ask questions, viewers. We're here to answer questions as well.
But it's like when I was having to do all of like basically shooting for a shoe catalog. There's not much soul or depth to that. It's some shoes and decent lighting. That's a bit more technical.
Here you go. Aran said, I did a unit at Murdoch called Creative Ways. If doing community work and photography was very much featured as a strong medium to tell community stories.
Yeah, that's great.
What university do you teach at?
Do I teach at? So I teach at 2 universities. I teach at Edith Cowan University.
ECU?
ECU. That's which I went to. And then I teach at University of Notre Dame as well.
There you go. So Murdoch's another kind of course there.
Yeah.
So what were you saying, Ryan?
I don't know now.
Off topic. I guess
we'll move on.
Yeah, I guess. Like I think you were about to say how like certain aspects of photography you don't really need it. So like event work was my biggest thing. Like I learned all my event work through YouTube videos, and I didn't need any more deeper understanding.
Yeah, I learned mine through. So I guess I can expand on this a little bit. I said before that university was a really good opportunity for me to have a lot of different mentors, but you don't particularly need university to find those mentors. So I was still looking and talking to other photographers before university as well, like when I was still interested in it. And then, so like when I first started getting into photography seriously, a lot of people would know Jared Singh. He's like one of Australia's best travel music photographers. I used to like bug him and hassle him. I'm like, hey dude, what lens are you using for this? How did you do this? And then as I kind of worked my way up the ranks, I started like I every now and then I still shoot jobs for Jared, or I help collaborate.
Shout out to Jared Sang then. I've never met him. Love to meet him.
He's cool. You should get him on
there
the
you go. Get him on the
podcast.
We'll see. We'll send that invitation out, eh?
And then one of my favorites wedding photographers, James Simmons.
We're going to get James Simmons on. Shout out to James Simmons. Come on the podcast, bro.
I'd been watching his stuff for years.
Me too.
He was always like an exceptional award-winning wedding photographer. Yeah. And then he was I was lucky that he was one of my tutors at university.
How did he teach? There you go.
Yeah, so he taught for a little bit as well. If you're able to be exposed and find photographers where you love what they're doing, you love their work, and you
get them as mentors,
and they're creating stuff. Yeah, if they're creating stuff that aligns with what you want to be creating, what's wrong with approaching them and being like, hey, how do you do this? Or like just a lot of photographers. I would assist just so I could kind of see how they were doing things and steal their ideas and steal their ways of doing things.
You thief. How dare you?
No, but it was a good experience where like I did training for one of Perth's biggest portrait studios a couple of times in in pursuit of like maybe possibly, I never ended up working for them, but I did like a few days training with them. And from that, I was able to kind of learn a bit of the business side of things. I'd assisted, or I used to be an assistant for Frances Andrejich, who's one of Perth's biggest commercial photographers, and just seeing the way that she does things in her business and for commercial photography was really eye-opening for me as well. And then like one of my big main mentors is David Broadway, who
good old Broadway.
Yeah, so I used to assist him on like fashion shoots, and then he would kind of bring me along to shoot some events with him. And then like after we shot the event, we would sit down and he would like have a look through my work and he would tell me where I could improve and how.
I actually never had that experience, to be honest. I never found mentors. I learned photography mostly through travel and through exploring, and I guess my mentors were people on YouTube, and that's really how I learned a lot, and my university lectures as well. I'm just going to bring you back to the uni topic real quick before we move on to that, because I think it's a bit of a controversial kind of idea, right? And I guess my biggest critique that I'm going to drop on you, Ryan, is I don't think university and photography courses necessarily worth the numerical the cost of it. So I think it's a little too expensive because my degree was very expensive, and to be honest, I don't think it provided that value. For a couple of reasons. Because first reason was, I took a photography degree, and yes, you kind of learn that basis, but I did 2 photography units max a semester, over 3 years, 1 or 2. Some semesters I don't even think I did one. So you're kind of not really learning photography. So I think the problem with university is the bureaucracy of it, right? The structure and the fact that a degree has to be 3 years, and they try and fill it in and take the money and give you the core units and all that kind of stuff. That's the downfall of uni. I think photography degree would be catered maybe to a 1 or 1.5 year course, and I think that's probably enough to get across what you're trying to get across. And
I could teach like a strong foundational course in like 2 months and get someone up to speed to like
technical skills, but to get like the mindset.
Not just technical, definitely the mindset. The mindset is like one of the big things that we don't talk about enough. It's like, sure, it's great to take a great image, but it's the psychology and the way that you work with people to be able
huge as well.
Get those results as well. I think that's one thing that a lot of people miss. I've had other people who were a little. I'm quite introverted myself until I get a camera in my hand.
The camera opens up this different personality, and it actually opens up doorways into certain conversations and certain things. I notice the same thing. The camera,
I feel invincible if you put a camera in my hand and I've got a job to do.
It's a confidence booster.
I would do anything that it takes for me to get my shots that I need to get. I'll climb on roofs. I'll be all over the place. I'll interact with people who I wouldn't normally interact with, just so I can get those shots that I need.
Ryan asked, does TAFE offer a photography course? Thanks for hanging in there,
TAFE
mate.
Does. Yeah, definitely.
TAFE does. Yep. I've never done the TAFE photography course. I've heard really good stuff about it.
A lot more technical.
Yeah, definitely a lot more technical. Look, it's a hard decision, and you have to ask yourself, if you're going to go into business as a photographer, you need to learn business. So you need to be strategic about how you take a university or TAFE course. The art practice is very good. It's very foundational to how you're going to produce images, and that's a big asset being a photographer, especially if you do something like weddings where creativity is valued. But I was lucky because I came from a family of entrepreneurs, so I was able to have that business mindset and make a business and make it work. A lot of people who have that artistic backing don't have that, and I think that's my biggest critique of
maybe 2 other people that I studied with went into photography businesses. I'm not sure if they're still in photography businesses.
It's a hard thing to do, man. It's not easy.
And what I always say is like, I can take a photo with my eyes closed. The business side of thing is what challenges me.
It's hard. You have to really shift your mindset into how am I going to make this efficient? How am I going to find clients? How am I going to get people through the door? How am I going to interact with people, make them feel comfortable? There's so many different skills. So as a photographer, you need to be good at so many different things. And I think a photography degree,
very many hats.
And I think a photography degree is a little bit behind in that aspect. I think it's got the creativity, it's got the philosophy, but the structure of the university hasn't caught up to the demands of the industry, which is they don't really teach the fast-paced nature of the industry.
We're starting to change it. Yeah,
Good.
so it's slowly changing.
Yeah. Do you find restricted from the bureaucratic structure of the university?
Because I'm just a lecturer, I'm not a unit coordinator. I don't get that much influence in how we structure the unit.
Sure.
I have many ideas of how we could.
Yeah.
I talk to Duncan every now and then about some different approaches. Like I think one of the latest thing that we were talking about was kind of combining that like the content creation side of things with just formal photography. But we are it does sound kind of very elitist in a way, where we teach traditional photography because it's a traditional art that we teach. It's kind of like someone doing an arts degree specifically in sculpting and being like, oh, do you want to learn like 3D design on the side as well, not just like your traditional stuff? Like there is kind of that very focused approach to it, where they just want to teach the traditional side of things and not kind of get too mixed in with the other stuff out there. But it is kind of slowly changing and getting integrated. Like with the photojournalism course that I teach now, it's not just photography, like it's not just documentary photography. It's completely mixed with filmmaking and with blogging and podcasting and stuff as well. Because when I was learning photojournalism, the second part of it was international photojournalism, and we did a tour in Bangladesh. We did a 6-week course there.
I went to India.
Oh,
photography
nice.
course, yeah.
And their big thing is like not everyone in Bangladesh can afford like high-end photography or videography gear. Everyone, pretty much almost everyone and anyone, has a phone in their hand which has a camera on it, and it gives everyone the opportunity to photograph things around them, to create content, to be able to share it with people on social media. So then that way it's like social media has built this opportunity for us to be more exposed to more issues happening around the world more constantly, I guess. Yeah. No one reads newspapers these days.
No. It's the world's changing very rapidly. I think fair point. I think traditional art, you definitely need to have that ingrained into a university course, I think.
And I'll just say one more thing. It's good to learn these foundations well, so then you can go and break them.
Yep. Absolutely. And I think that's definitely what allowed me to do it, at least as a creative and as an artist. But yeah, definitely didn't get a lot of the business skills from it, unfortunately. And so I think that is a bit of a downfall of the kind of structure of.
Don't do a photography degree, do a business degree.
You should couple it with
figure
a
out the
business
photography
degree.
side of things.
You should couple it with it. So Aaron said, thanks for this. I'd probably catch it on Spotify later. It's just past 10 p.m. here in California. Love the content. So there you go. Provided some valuable insights. So feel free to ask questions, viewers, if you are hanging in there. So yeah, definitely there's definitely value in university. I think you just need to be strategic about how you do it. Definitely, if you're going to take photography, you don't just want to take photography, you want to take some kind of entrepreneurial business or just understand that mindset before you head into the industry, because there isn't many career pathways. It's definitely good to be creative.
You've got to figure it out yourself.
You do.
Yeah.
There
are support networks there,
but it's very limited.
Having those mentors helps with that side of thing as well.
And then it's a very hard industry to make it in once you're actually in it anyway, because that's what I'm finding. Like a few people
you got to hustle, and you've got to
hustle.
You've got to have the energy and the motivation to hustle.
Oh yeah, it's an extremely hard industry to get into once you've graduated.
I wouldn't say extremely hard.
I think so, because I'm actually of the opinion that there's not enough work in photography, because a lot of people.
Have you seen my Facebook posts?
But you're at the top. And
not at the top.
Well, you are. You're the big dog. So if you think about like a pyramid, there's always, like I watched a video that Dave Ross sent me about how money is kind of, consolidated around, the top 0.1%. And it has that kind of pyramid structure, and pretty much it seems to be something that kind of runs through in life in general, where like the people at the top generally get all the work, and the people kind of just below it get they're still up there, but they're not quite, and then the people below that have nothing in comparison to the people above them. So it's like, that top 1-2% get everything. I think it's the same in the business world and in photography. I think that people like, yourself, Ryan, who have hustled for 11 years full time and have built enough network that you don't even need a market, you're getting all the work. And people like Broadway have a huge name for themselves, and everyone knows who they are, or Simmons, in weddings, who, has won multiple awards and got out that way. Those are the guys who can make it full time to get the work. The other people trying to get into the industry, there's not enough work for them. And I think that's the reality of photography is most photographers don't make it. Most photographers I know struggle. And the only reason I feel like, cause I'm full time now, and the only reason I feel like I've made is because I made a lot of sacrifices. Like I'm talking 16-hour days back to back, multiple times a week, overnight.
There's a lot of sacrifices.
But that's what you have to do to get into the industry and to make and to get that clientele to keep coming through. And once you get there, people will keep coming back and you will get the work. But a lot of people are like, there's enough work for everyone. I just don't think it's true. Well, that's my take. Yeah. And because like even in weddings, like like how many people are going to get married every year?
I feel like there's a lot.
yeah. But then you look in the Facebook groups and people are like, oh, looking for a wedding photographer on the 13th of the 7th or what, and there's like a million comments. You're like, whoa, okay, and it just puts it in perspective. And most people that I speak to, they're like, photography, we're not making any money. We're doing it part time. We're doing this, Then there's other people like freaking, boiling it.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a big divide. Yeah, that's my take.
I feel like I guess I'm a little bit blind to that side of things.
You're so busy.
I think so, yes, in a way. But like all of my mentors are busy and have consistent work, and
you're surrounded with people that you wanted to be like, and you became.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the biggest thing, and that might be a piece of advice is for anyone who who wants to be successful and to do well in the industry, is to find those people who like basically show you how
your role
busy
models.
you can.
Find your role models, reach out to them.
Yeah,
and be friends with them.
Yeah,
and you'll inevitably become who you surround yourself with.
Yeah. Yeah,
and
like me and David Broadway, we used to compare calendars all the time. It's like,
there you go.
So busy.
Who's busier?
Yeah. Even every now and then we still do it. Not so much anymore because I've tried to like scale things back a bit.
What's up, Angie? Feel free to ask any questions, any viewers in here. I think we've got 1 or 2 at the moment. We've had about 100 people come through. We've had some great questions early on, so feel free to hang around. We're going to be answering questions as well as we go on, and we'd like to hear where everyone's from if you're finding value in the content. But yeah, that's my take on it. Look, I'm a bit of a pessimistic. I'm kind of an investor, as well. I buy stocks and stuff, and when you buy stocks and you invest in shit, you're always thinking about the worst case scenario.
Yeah, no, I get that as well. And like, yeah, completely, like starting your own photography business is quite an investment, and you want to be mindful
you need to have
of
an investor mind.
What was that?
You need to have an investor mind.
Yeah,
every dollar you spend, you need to make it back somehow.
I probably should have more of a structured investor mind, but my approach has been always kind of very reactive instead of proactive. Like I remember that's kind of why my catalog has become so chaotic, because like I would have even though I used to just start off shooting fashion, shooting portraits, shooting events, I would get like random inquiries being like, oh, do you do real estate? And then the little voice in the back of my head is like, yes, you do. You do that. So then I would be like, oh, yes, I do that. And then I would stay up like for a couple of hours that night creating a page on the website that is like real estate photography. And then I would start delving into that sort of things.
That is the grind, ladies and gentlemen. You hear that. I do that as well. So what I do, because I don't have a commercial website yet, because I'm planning on making a very specific one, is that whenever a client gets in touch with commercial work, I make them a custom portfolio and send it to them.
Yep.
And I'll spend
I do that as well.
Yeah, and I stay up overnight to do this stuff to get the client. I did it with the Ritz-Carlton. I got a really big job with them. Wasn't an easy job to secure, but I knew I wanted it because it was a high-end architecture project, and I made them a custom portfolio and sent it through to them. Video projects all the time. If I'm doing a video project, I'll stay up overnight to make a portfolio. So that's the kind of mindset you need to have if you kind of want to make it in the industry. And the industry is changing. It's moving very rapidly, and it's so hard to keep up. AI is the biggest thing that's kind of come into the space.
Yeah.
Gosh, AI is...
It's the biggest keyword for
AI.
the past couple of years.
We're going to get another 5 viewers in here.
It's here.
I think
it's here to stay.
It's here to stay. Oh, AI is part of my workflow in almost every aspect now. Photo editing, capturing images as well. AI is involved with the focusing systems and stuff. AI is involved.
Do you use much of in post-production?
Huge amount. Every event is through AI.
Yep. Every
wedding's through AI. 80% of the work I do is AI in post-production.
Yep.
Weddings, yes, we still manually review them, and we still crop them independently, and we still adjust colors here and there. But the base of the images is generated through AI. And then
what are you using?
Imogen.
Okay. I'm using Aftershoot.
I hear Aftershoot's a little bit cheaper. I'm not too sure. I pay about $180 a month or something like that.
I think I paid $800 for the year.
Yeah, that's cheaper.
Yeah.
So Aftershoot's good. I haven't experimented with it, so I'm not sure if it's any kind of...
I think they did the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And AI, you do culling, you do image editing. The only time I don't use it is if I take like a portrait of a wedding that has like a flash in there, then I'll bring it into Photoshop and overlay 2 images and kind of take it out. But nowadays with the AI remove tools, that's almost there as well, man. I'm finding I just like highlight it and just get it, and it's like gone. I don't even need to do my exposure layering and stuff. You know, it's getting really good.
Yeah. Like I used to use, I used to HDR a ton of my stuff. I don't even do that anymore because of the noise reduction in Lightroom built into it. The AI noise reduction, where I can just push and pull those highlights and those shadows to a point where it looks HDR and there's no noise because of that reduction.
The AI noise reduction is huge in Lightroom. I took a photo at ISO 16,000.
Jeepers.
And
okay.
I wish I could pull it up because I took a photo at 16,000 ISO, and I was like, I've butchered it. It was the nicest moment ever. And then I brought it into Photoshop, and it's gone. Yeah. It was amazing. And we did a portrait session of an engagement 2 weeks ago. My associate shot the photos. I was on the video. The video was fine because we were able to shoot at 1/50, but then the photos, we had a 1.8 lens, but we had to shoot at obviously 1/250 to freeze the movement of the proposal because he didn't want to get blurry photos, and it was dark, really dark. So I had to boost it one stop, and we were already at ISO 8000. Boosting it one stop, the noise comes through, and I'm like, fuck, and then denoise, whoosh. I was like, whoa, man, it's incredible. Cleans up the image, and it looks real. Like it looks good. It looks really good, and you're able to just provide a whole different level of quality. Like low light is just going to be something we don't even think about soon. With AI noise reduction and camera ISO capabilities.
So it's like people do get a little bit worried about AI taking our jobs, but from my experience, I'm in two minds about it because I probably spend way too much time using AI, where it's just another tool that helps us do our job well.
It's taking jobs from... definitely has changed.
Taking jobs from copywriters. I've probably done more blog posts in the past month than I have in the past 10 years.
I was going to employ a email assistant to help with emails, and I'm not anymore because of AI. So there's one job gone.
I just copy and paste. I've got a project set up with instructions in ChatGPT where I just copy or I'll even save the email as a PDF, drop it into my project, and then it automatically responds with
to it.
a response. And it's got that project has all of my pricing structure and terms and conditions, so that it has accurate information to pull from to give an accurate quote and accurate response.
I just dot point things with my email responses. So, I'll just like literally just spill my thoughts for a minute, and then whoosh, it has, all of my language that I prefer and, my prices and stuff. And then based on those dot points and how I want to structure the email, it will just craft it, So an email that would usually take me 20 minutes to write now takes me 2 or 3. So it's huge, man. It's like crazy.
Big time saver.
Oh man, it's incredible. And then, but yeah, that poor assistant I was going to hire, I'm not going to hire anymore, you know. So jobs are being lost. Will photography be replaced?
It's funny. I was in Watertown in the city the other day, and they've got a whole bunch of new marketing posters, and I kept looking at it. I'm like, oh, those people just don't look right. And so I had like a closer look at it. You can always tell from the eyes. Yeah. And so all of their posters, all of their advertising were all AI generated, like people like in fashion shoots enjoying the produce and stuff like that. So someone might have lost them as a client. But so I guess it just, I had to kind of internally justify them being able to do that as well.
What industries do you think are going to go? What's up, people? Chatting about AI and the impact it's going to have on photography, the future, where it's going. Ryan Ammon is an expert in photography and the creative arts and artificial intelligence. This guy knows so much. Hang in there, ask questions. He is an expert. He's too humble.
I think I'm using it more than ever to try and become more of an expert.
We got who we got in? I think that's David. Davide.
Oh, hello, Davide.
So yeah, what industry do you think is?
I think at the moment it's very much like it's very written based.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So
how long until you think like? Because obviously you saw the fashion at Watertown, and that's that's a big one. I think fashion.
It was just it wasn't just fashion. It was like all of the advertising.
Do you think so? Do you think commercial photography is kind of going to take a big hit?
I think it was noticeable enough for people to kind of get the irk about it, to be like, because I did. I'm like,
how long until that's gone? You think? Because
I think it might kind of come around. Like if people are not having a positive reaction to, because people connect with people.
Yes.
And people, the way that our brains are wired, we can identify when things are a bit, like when things fall into that uncanny valley where you can tell that it's not a real person.
It's getting there, man.
Yeah. It is, yeah.
Let's do a thought experiment. Let's say that AI can produce hyper-realistic images that are identical to what a camera can produce. Is commercial photography dead?
I don't think so.
So.
Because I've got a new Instagram. A lot of people keep asking me about it. It's my ADHD has given me a new hyperfixation, which is I've been generating a series. A series
I like the ones in Indonesia, the food.
But it's like you can tell that not all of it's real.
No, you can tell.
But you used like a key component in my prompt there. It was hyper real, where everything's generated in a particular way. Yep. But the way that I prompt it, and it's kind of helped me more. As if I was wanting to manage other photographers or get into artistic direction, where I will produce or I will generate about maybe 30 to 40 images before I get it selected down to the 10 that I'm allowed to post on Instagram. And as I see the result, I'm able to tweak things. That's the thing with it, is to be like you kind of it kind of creates a new job where someone will specialize in image prompting. It's the same as an artist. Like you pay someone to draw all this art and stuff. It's not like you can just get any person. Well, you can kind of get anyone to be like, draw a purple dog, and it will draw a purple dog. But then once you put it into context, what you're trying to use that for, it's like draw a purple dog in this scene and it needs to have this type of lighting, use this type of lens, and it's for advertising this particular thing. It's the prompting you need to be able to take up to another level.
You do.
And I feel like that will kind of start being incorporated into a marketing role.
Yeah.
So it's like maybe the marketing person won't be getting their photographer to do that anymore, but it's like creating a whole new opportunity for.
So you see
person
potential expansion for photographers to become prompt experts.
Yeah.
And to learn how to use AI to prompt carefully curated images and to
one
know
of my
what looks
friends,
good.
Baz Harvey, he's been creating like
Sup Vero, how you going, mate? Good to have you in.
He's been producing amazing content through Midjourney for years now, I think. Like I kept seeing his stuff pop up. I'm like, how is he doing this stuff? And it's like, then I kind of saw like a bit of a sneak peek of the way that he prompts. And if you see my prompts now, it's not just one or two sentences. My prompts are completely structured as if it's like a photography brief to be able to get those sets of images.
Yep.
And then because I'm producing a series of images, they're structured in a way that they need to be able to replicate like all of the background, all of the bits and pieces. Because I'm focusing on food, it's got to be able to replicate whatever the food is in. Like there's
really
all these minute
yeah.
details that are incorporated into it.
I'm amazed at how I'm able to talk to GPT now. With and you can even go on video recording now, can't we? And we can we were playing with that the other day. So like we'll put because I've got two kids, we'll put on relaxing videos on the TV at home, and like we'll have an aquarium, and then on with the aquarium, all of these different fish and stuff pop up. Check this out, viewers. All right. Hello?
Hey there, I can hear you loud and clear. It looks like you've got a nice podcast setup going on.
Oh.
How can I help you today?
Very clever.
What do you see in this scene? Let's have a look.
I can see you sitting on that really nice vintage-looking couch with your microphone all set up. The whole setup looks pretty professional. Are you getting ready to record something?
We're live at the moment on Instagram. We have Dave Ross from Vero Photography saying that we have an international viewers. We do. We had a Californian guy in who will be following us on Spotify and watching it later. That is where Dave Ross would be. Do you know what camera that is, GPT?
That's awesome that you have such a wide audience tuning in. From what I can see, that camera looks pretty professional. It might be a DSLR or a mirrorless camera on that tripod.
Canon R5C, dumbass. Close.
Yeah, but
that's amazing, man. You see that stuff? Like, got a podcast there, I can see.
Yeah.
So it's just like how long until that thing is smarter than me with producing images? You know, like that's advanced, man. You know, it wasn't there 6 months ago. That was not there 6 months ago. Now I'm able to, it blows my mind.
A funny thing that I use it for, so I've got a mental health coach named Finn McKenna Fox, and he has...
Shout out to Finn.
I think I've kind of told him this, but I don't know to what extent. But a lot of his content and podcasts I've been able to transcribe and put into a project in ChatGPT, so that whenever I talk to that project, I'm able to do mental health check-ins using ChatGPT, and it's able to draw from his voice and from his content.
That's insane,
to
man.
help me. Yeah,
you're making a virtual Finn.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Copyright your name, Finn.
I don't know if I want him to. I still have my weekly check-ins with him, so it's fine. But if I'm kind of struggling with a decision or something like that, man. I'm able to have like my little AI mental health check-ins based on kind of his teachings and his coursework. Yeah,
it's cool, but it's like it's futuristic and robotic and scary.
It is.
We got it's either Callum or Isabel. Welcome to the podcast, Bow Cow Photography. What's up?
Cowbell.
Bow Cow.
Sounds like cowbell. More cowbell.
Bow Cow. Isabel and Callum. Which one of you is it? I lost my thought. We're talking about AI and how AI is spookily good at the moment. Look, I think it is going to take jobs, to be honest. Matthew with the cameras joined as well. What's up, Matthew? Ask us some questions. But I think it is as much as AI is going to take jobs, I think it's going to produce new areas of work, like you're finding, you know. I do have to say, I think certain industries are probably going to die. I mean, I think there's always going to be a demand for like high-end production of people who do want it real. But I think, you know, what is going to hit the most and what is going to hit the most first is people like breaking into the industry. It's going to become even harder to break in because people who are selling startup solo drink or, you know, a kombucha drink, you know, kombucha's huge. There's heaps of kombucha startups. Rather, remember that job?
You can take a picture with your iPhone of your product and then AI generates like a nice background and stuff like that. It's pretty crazy the things that you can do.
So I think like entry level jobs of people who are trying to save money, like a new kombucha company, are just going to take a photo on their phone and then it's going to get generated with AI and that's going to be good enough to sell their product.
But even saying that, because like I have a subscription for ChatGPT, which includes Sora, which I use for my image generation, and it does have a cost to it, and there is a limit to it as well.
But how much is it? Is it cheaper?
It's $20, $20 per month. If you want to go the next tier up, it is $200 per month. So there is a cost associated to it as well.
Yeah, but you pay $200 an hour for a photographer in a studio.
Oh, that's true. It's still,
it is way cheaper. It's way cheaper. So I think
our jobs are gone.
I think trouble. Well, I think certain jobs are gone. I think there will still be a demand. I think things that are real and require a person like an event or like a wedding, I think that's going to hang around. I think the cost of how much you can make from a wedding is going to reduce because post-production is faster. I still think there's going to be a demand.
Yes and no. Okay. Price is something that I could talk for about a day.
Spill, mate.
Because it's kind of like, I guess... Let's look at NFTs, for example. Why are people paying millions of dollars for something that doesn't exist in the physical world?
Are they still doing it?
And they're still doing it.
There you go. Because they see perceived value.
It's the same as wedding photography. Is why is one person paying their uncle $100 and a carton of beer to shoot their wedding versus paying someone like James Simmons a minimum of $10,000 to shoot their wedding? It's
brand name.
Not just branding, but the quality and the experience that kind of goes into it as well.
There's a few different facets. There's definitely you definitely need the eye and the creativity. You definitely need a good experience, but I think the big one is that brand name, right? It's how big your name. And that's what people are going to perceive value. And I think things like you know, luxury brand names definitely have that kind of leverage or positioning in the market that allows them to charge those premium rates. You know, because you go to Gucci, the belts aren't 200 times better than the average Calvin Klein belt, but the price is 200 times a Calvin Klein belt. But it's just that brand reputation, brand name. And I personally think you could, if you got good enough at something, and you don't need to be really that incredible, but if you got good enough, and then you could brand name it or brand it properly and build that name up over time, just from being popular, you can put whatever price tag you want on it. So I think there's always going to be room for that.
Having that confidence to justify being at that price point as well, which I think a lot of people struggle with.
I think there will always
I've struggled with it in the past as well.
Everyone struggles with pricing. It always fluctuates. You're always changing your price based on how much you're marketing yourself, based on what the market's doing at the moment. Like I know, like weddings are much reduced at the moment because there's much less spending in that area at the moment. Whereas corporate is paying a good rate at the moment because corporate spending is still up.
I make way more from corporate commercial than I did from weddings.
Absolutely.
And it's like half the work a lot of the time.
Man. Weddings are the lowest hourly rate job that I probably book in. Sometimes they're big jobs, but the small jobs are low rates because of the amount of time you need to put into a wedding. The reason I do weddings is because I love them. I love producing wedding work, and I love working with couples, and I love doing artistic creative portraits. I don't do it for the money. I would make way more money if I just worked for big corporations.
Where's this investor brain of yours?
Oh, it's inbred in me. Ingrained in me, sorry. Ingrained in me. Yeah, so I think I do it for passion. Look, I love it, and I see potential in weddings from being able to offer multiple services on the day, and that's what I'm doing. I'm exclusively booking photo and video packages when people are inquiring a year in advance. I'm not really booking photography or videography only, because I'm making not very much money compared to what I would make if I was to go out and I don't want to talk about rates too much, but you can make a lot of money doing corporate events if you structure that properly and headshots and stuff like that. But the reason you can is because businesses see the value in it, and businesses see the value in having promotional content, and I think that's a big part of what is driving photography at the moment. And I guess my concern with that is that AI is going to come in, and people are going to start having access to, like, my Canon EOS R. I'm about to sell it for $1,000. That's a good camera. So, you're going to have a guy on the field with take a few snaps, and AI is going to be able to extrapolate on those few images you take and make them into something really great. And then your event work's gone as well. I think like a lot of that stuff might be impacted, and I am a little bit worried about it. So, I don't know. I don't like AI too much, but I use it every day. You use it a lot.
Yeah. You don't like it, but it's your best friend.
It's my best friend, man. It saves me so much time and money.
I think there's a lot of laws and rules that are still kind of shifting around it as well, where we'll kind of see, like, there's a few big lawsuits going up against Midjourney and was it one of the other ones? I can't remember. I know it was Midjourney. I'm pretty sure it was Disney was suing Midjourney
for creating AI avatars or something like that for actors,
because you can prompt draw a picture of Mickey Mouse, and then it's able to draw a picture of Mickey Mouse, and it's not meant to be able to do that. Sora has a few limitations that prevent that now, so that I guess they're kind of predicting the future where they don't want to get sued by all of these big corporations and industries. And the Adobe's approach was a bit more lawful as well, where they try not, or they take their references from internal servers, where I think where people have signed up, like everyone's got an Adobe subscription, so it's got all of these images that it can kind of draw from, whereas I think a lot of the others were just like Google image search to be able to get inspiration to create their new images.
So what do you think about headshot photography then? So obviously you can generate like something like Mickey Mouse, or even, I don't know, maybe you can also generate actors and stuff. So
but you can't really, and I tried all the time, like in our little group that we've got together, I always post pictures of like
AI generated.
Like I'll always give it reference shots of ours, but it never generates correctly. I think that's on purpose. I think it knows how to. But I think
so. Do you think
because of that whole
do you think
issue.
we're going to be able to regulate and control it properly, or do you think
I think that the laws are coming in place. It's still new, so that they have to be able to change and shift those laws. But I think there will be laws put in place to start restricting it. I think you need to have more control.
I think it needs to be done, and I think AI is one of those things that I'm not so much I don't really agree with regulating markets too much. I think markets should be free, but I think with AI,
yes and no.
I think with AI it's a bit different, because it's a scary technology. I think it's going to come in. It's going to come in hard. It's going to be more revolutionary and more detrimental than computers and the internet. I think computers sped up how fast we were able to write. AI is going to speed up how fast we're able to think and how fast we're able to actually do just general tasks. Because we're able to bounce thoughts off. You're able to not only speed up your writing, you're able to speed up everything. And I think that in the hands of corporations, that's scary, man. Corporations will do whatever the fuck they can to make more money, and when people will do whatever they want to make more money, they will use the technology to their advantage to make more money. And I think
they always have.
They always have, and it's not going to go away. But I think the only way that can be stopped is if there is a collective kind of push towards regulation, and I think it needs to be regulated, because I think otherwise it's going to cause havoc on our professions. Like just think about like accountants, man, gone. Think about anything that requires numerical numbers and into graphs, gone. Think about analyzing papers or gone. Typewriting, gone. Photo editing, gone. You know what I mean?
It's interesting,
like they're gone.
Jumping back to the whole university thing.
Yep.
I know all of my students are using it.
What's up, Chris?
There's a few particular words that you can tell that AI has written something for someone. Like I think I was watching a presentation last semester, and she had like a summary, like an introduction summary at the start of her speech. And the way that it was written, I'm like, that is ChatGPT's voice. That is not this student's voice. So
that's because you spend a lot of time on AI. You know its language.
Yeah, and I see it all the time. And I see it like when my friends do like business posts and stuff like that, and it's all. But I'm the same.
Are universities still pushing essays with AI?
To not have AI?
No. Are universities still using essays with AI? Like, because when I used to do projects at university, essays were huge. We used to have a take-home project. We would research it, and then we would write an essay. Because AI is obviously just throwing a spanner in that. Like how do you write an essay now yourself with your own words when AI is the one who's able to do the research and to compile the essay? Like, are you still doing them at uni or?
Yeah, of course.
Wow.
But there's new software that we use to check to see what the likelihood.
Isabel Callan just said if the person knows how to brief AI on essay writing, it's hard to tell.
Yep.
It can give a ton of voice, or maybe she means like variations and where the text is going. It does sound lots better and more like a human.
Yes.
I think I read that completely wrong.
So some of the universities have software where you have to type your essay into that online software.
Oh.
So it watches your character count.
So you have to write essays live now.
You have to write them live. Well, yeah, like you've got
it's like
time
a school
to do
essay.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
You can't copy and paste.
Yep.
But you could still pre-write the essay and then just write.
Yeah.
I probably just gave a bunch of people like ideas and ways around it. Any of my students do not listen to what I just said. But at the same time, like, to be honest, I use ChatGPT all the time for when I'm creating my university content.
Yeah.
Because I'm still choosing what content I need to teach them. So I'm still curating the content.
It just speeds it up.
But I'm just speeding up the process, which I guess is what they're doing as well. Yeah. But if they're able to take the information that they need and retain it and understand the importance of the information that is being fed to them, whether it's through reading it themselves or reading an abbreviated version that ChatGPT gave them. At the end of the day, I think it's the information that they're gaining from it is important, regardless of how they obtain that information.
Interesting. I hate essays, but I also love them because I think essays gave me a way of structuring my thoughts and my thinking. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I think I'm losing that with AI. Yeah. And that's what I'm worried about in terms of from an academic perspective, because there's a reason why we do essays, right? And no one likes writing an essay, but they're good for you. They stimulate your brain in a certain way, so you learn how to structure arguments, you learn how to structure your thoughts, and you process your thinking as well. With AI, I've noticed myself that I've been thinking less and less and less, and now I'm not even really doing much critical thinking when it comes to structuring my paragraphs and my writing.
Yeah, I get that as well. Yeah, it's like how I approach a lot of my emails now as well. But part of that is because sometimes if I have to have a hard conversation, or if I've got a difficult email to get back to someone, I would just put it off for days. I just want to get back to it. Yeah. Whereas now I don't have that anxiety.
No, you can just do it.
Yeah, I've just got my friend who will write it for me, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to say, and it's already written for me, so I just have to copy and paste, and here's my answer. Yeah.
Anxiety is a big part of being a business owner, I think.
Can we pause for a sec? Can I run to the toilet?
All right, we're gonna take a little break.
Sorry,
we have
live stream.
That's all right. Sorry, live
You
stream.
can cut this
We
in
actually
post.
we have one view at the moment, so a few people dropped out. We've had like 100 people come through though, so that's been really great. Who's in here at the moment? Is it I can't actually see who's in. So who's in? Say hi. What's up? What's up, audience? Any questions while Ryan's ducked to the loo? Bring the questions through, peeps. My one peep. My one bro. What's up, bro? I am quite happy with this viewership though. We've had a lot of people come through, a lot of questions. Me, Bow Cow Photo. What's up? What's up? What's up, guys? What are you doing? You working? You shooting? Are you excited for our podcast? I am. Sunday night. Sunday night's going to be a good night. 2 viewers. What's up? What's up? New person in. We're having a bit of a break on the live stream. Ask any questions. What's up, Creative Manual? How you going, mate? Where are you from? What you doing? Have any questions about photography or videography? We have an amazing guest on today. We're just having a little bit of a break at the moment, and I'm just passing time. Bow Cow, this is a great time to be editing. This podcast is about to get real spicy. We're about to dive into a whole different set of topics. Creative Manual, feel free to ask a question. If you have anything on your mind about photography or videography, I actually have a university lecturer on right now who's been in the industry for, he's just behind me now, for 11 years. 11 years full-time as a photographer and videographer. He has an extensive network, and a very extensive network, has a lot of industry knowledge, so feel free to ask any questions, and this guy will provide some deep knowledge. We got Natasha. What's up, Natasha? You got any question about photography, videography, or anything in general? Feel free to ask away. We have a university lecturer on the podcast at the moment, Ryan Ammon. Ryan Ammon is one of the biggest commercial photographers in Perth. He has some highly reputable clients. I'm going to check. I'm going to duck to the loo as well. While I'm at the loo, feel free to ask questions. He hope he's not on mic, otherwise we'll hear his pics.
What did they say?
Look, they're going to hear you pee. Hear your piss. They're gonna hear you piss.
No.
Because the mic's still on. Yeah. We're not using... Oh, that's right. This episode is supported by Rode. We are supported by Rode now. As you can see, Rode has provided us with some amazing gear. Rode are the best audio company in the world. These guys are amazing. These mics are amazing. The interface is amazing. I use the Wireless Pros. I pretty much use all Rode audio gear and actually have no complaints at all. And I'm super stoked they have helped us get this podcast off the ground. So that was pretty awesome. So if you are thinking about buying audio gear, buy Rode. Rode are the best. All right, I'm going to go to the bathroom and then hopefully have some questions come through. You can answer those. There you go. I'll let you answer this question, Ryan, while I duck up. So Creative Manual says, I'm a beginner getting into the videography space, although into bagging a degree in computer science from Nigeria.
Oh, interesting. Shall I come sit there for a sec?
No, it'll come on to you when you speak.
Oh, will it?
You can. Yeah.
Oh, I'll jump over there so I can see the laptop. Swap for a sec. Okay, so Creative Manuel, he has said, I'm a beginner getting into the videography space, although into bagging a degree in computer science from Nigeria. Interesting. I don't know much about the Nigerian industry, so I don't know how accurate my information would be. But a lot of what I've been talking about today, or the advice that I kind of give everyone is... Step one is networking. So find people in the industry or relevant to your industry, whether it be people who are doing what you want to be doing, or people who might be potential clients, having a chat with them, seeing where the opportunities are, showing them what you do, and then building those relationships so that if there are the opportunities there for you to start working with them, then that might be kind of your first stop, or your first step, and your first jobs is working with them. like when I first started, the first wedding that I shot was for my friend. She was a photographer before me, and then her friends were getting married, and so she was wanting to shoot their wedding, but then she knew that I was studying photography at the same time, and I was getting into fashion photography, and so she kind of provided me with that opportunity for me to shoot my first wedding. And of course, like, I was learning all about using lights outdoors, so I got to bring my lights along and just get really experimental. And so the first wedding that I shot was an awesome opportunity for me to start creating that content, which of course added to my portfolio. So when it came to getting my next weddings, I already had a portfolio put together of some images. Oh, well, I'm just talking to no one. And then, so firstly, so step one is networking. Step two is finding those mentors. Those mentors will help guide you and teach you the ways to find foundation in your business, I guess. And then once you have your network and your mentors, with step one being networking, it kind of naturally makes step two finding those mentors, and then again naturally step three is finding those clients, because you're networking, you're finding mentors, you're finding clients. And so once you find your clients and your mentors are helping you, helping to guide the way that you do your work, then that's kind of, that's where you find your foundations for starting a photography or videography business. And then the next very important step, step number 3, is finding your support network, or finding people who will support you for when things might get a little bit crazy and chaotic. It's always good to have those core people who will kind of help pull you out of a hole, or help make sure you're mentally stable, I guess, is a bit of an important one. Yeah. Cool. All right. James is back, so I'm going to change chairs.
A good answer. Cool. Dropping some knowledge. All right, we're back. We're back on the it's got another about 20 minutes left. We've been going for a while, mate.
Jeepers. All right. 20 minutes.
2:15.
All right.
Wow. Okay. What a great conversation, guys. What a great we don't need to smash or anything. We just need to keep having a convo. That's what people like. We've got 2 viewers still, 2 concurrent viewers. We've had a lot of people come through. We've had a lot of questions that we've answered. For those who are watching at the moment, feel free to ask any questions. I'm not sure who's in here right now, but we have Ryan Ammon, Ryan Ammon Creative. He's one of Perth's leading photographers, university lecturer. He's the man, guys. This is the guy you want to learn from. So ask away while you have the opportunity. So here you go. Creative Manual said, I started networking by volunteering for events. Perfect. And I was able to get a mentor who I started working with this month.
There you go.
Now hang in there, mate. Keep going. You're on the right track.
He's already onto it.
Yeah, there you go. You don't even need our advice. Yeah. No, yeah, it's who you know, mate. You need to build those networks. Have friends. Don't make enemies. Make friends. This industry is it's small. It's a small industry. You need to make friends. You can't make enemies. You need to like the people in the industry. If you want.
I've made a few enemies.
We all have. C Stokes. C Stokes was one of the first clients I've ever had. Thanks for jumping in for a brief second. You're probably jumping straight out because you're like, I don't give a shit about photography. But thanks for hopping in for a second.
He accidentally pressed the button.
One of the first clients I've ever had. I shot her 21st birthday about 10 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, still following me.
You just told everyone her age.
It might have not been 10 years ago, actually. Cool. So, I find that our business is extremely anxiety provoking. It is really difficult to maintain a business and to have kind of, how do I say it, clients with expectations. I have like 15 emails that from last night and this morning I need to go through now. That's giving me anxiety right now. I'm like, how am I going to get through all that?
ChatGPT will
call them and it's still a lot, So I have experienced episodes of burnout where I've just the stress just gets you, man. You know, like I had it the other week when I got COVID. I was sick for 2 weeks straight, like 2 proper weeks, lingered around for, it was like 3 weeks of lingering in total. I was really bad. There was like 4 days where I didn't leave bed. So it was like, it was sick. And I took work off for the first time in like 6 years.
It's
like,
weird, isn't it?
It's weird, man. Like I've gone on holidays. I've gone to Bali multiple times in the last year or so. I've gone to Europe a couple of years back, but I've always maintained emails and I've always maintained communication, and I've always done something, because that's what you got to do as a business owner. But this
you need to change that.
Yes, you do. And this is what I've realized, because I took the week off because I was so sick. I was burnt out. I was tired. I was stressing out. I couldn't cope with it. And I, for the first time in my life, realized how much shit I was actually doing. Because the amount of tasks that began to pile up, I was like, fuck, man, like this is a lot. And like the expectations of clients as well, people, you know, contacting me being like, hey, where are you? What's going on? Buzzing me. And, you know, it just kept building and building and building. And it made me realize that that's not a sustainable pathway.
No.
You can't have that much. Well, you can, but you're going to...
If you're contactable 24/7, then that means that your brain has to be switched on 24/7. If you never get that opportunity to quiet your mind, that's a quick way to lead yourself to burnout. If you're never able to rest your brain properly, that's when, the burnout starts creeping in.
So you need to be able to have downtime, and you need to be able to have a self-care routine. I'm pretty big on self-care, actually. I value self-care. I'm a big surfer.
Yep.
I will make sure I surf once a week. Might get some waves after this podcast, eh?
Yes.
Need to buy a new wetsuit first, though.
What?
Oh, mate, I'll show you on the way.
Oh, God.
Started to give me rashes in weird spots, if you know. It's about 3 years old and all ripped and fucked up. That's how wetsuits go. Anyway, so, you know, I'm a big on self-care. So I surf at least once a week. I go to the gym 2 or 3 times a week, depending on how much I'm surfing. I have my little dog that I go on walks with. But I still find you can get into the habit of not letting your mind rest during your self-care activities. And, you know,
this is true as well.
That is true. And, you know, sometimes I go for a surf and I'm thinking about some bloody emails I need to go get back to. So you've had some experience with burnout. And you said before we came on that you've had multiple episodes of burnout.
Yes.
So what have you learned? What can we do as business owners who have probably the most stressful job in the world, which is running a creative business and having to stay relevant and learn new things all the time, maintain client expectations, which are usually incredibly unrealistic. Sorry to my clients, but, you know, we're not responding for a few days. Give us a break. Probably just need a bit of time to chill. What can we do as business owners when there is that expectation that you're going to be reachable 24/7 and people are going to be pestering you and that demand is, you know, if you don't respond, you're probably going to lose them as a client anyway. What do you do?
Okay, let's preface this with a bit of background. So last year was a pretty chaotic, big mistake of a year where I was pretty much on the verge of divorce. I never saw my kids and I pretty much was ready to end it all. Which is, a pretty big thing to say, but that's the reality of it. How did I get there? Because I hadn't, this wasn't the start of this year, I took about 3 months off with spots of work here and there, which was not by choice. And the way that this happened is because I'd been burnt out before, and each time I burn out, I have my mental health coach, Finn, who I mentioned before, and he has a program that I'm a part of called Grounded Father, or used to be Grounded Masculine before I was a father, and it's a program that helps me to ground myself, to regulate myself, and to be more aware of how I feel physically, mentally, and what's going on with myself holistically. And I would have a burnout session, and things would get pretty bad, and then I would jump back into the program. But then, of course, I would get busy again, forget about the program, and relapse back into my old habits. And my old habits are always being a workaholic, not sleeping, and just completely not nurturing my internal needs. All I do will be, I'll just focus on the work that I'm doing, because when I work, I don't have to think when I work. Even though I'm always switched on when I work, it comes so easily for me because I've been doing it for so long. But then when I have to figure out how to be a father or a husband, or to have relationships with my other friends and families, that's where I have to use a lot more brain capacity. And because I'm so stuck with my work, I find that I completely just isolate myself from that other side of my life, which is not healthy. So that's like
it's not healthy at all.
Yeah, that's
and it's going to lead to mental breakdown, right?
Oh, hugely, yeah. And so like last year, like as a father, you want to be able to provide for your family. Well, that's kind of the mentality that our society gives us. We want to be able to provide so that we can afford all the things that they need and give them a really fantastic, awesome life.
Relate completely, 100%.
Yeah, but then to be able to do that, or for whatever reason, what's ingrained in my mind, how I was raised, and how I saw my parents work. Like my parents were workaholics as well, so they were never really at home for me, like they were always there for me, except when my dad disappeared for a few years.
They were working.
Yeah, they were working.
They're working hard.
But it's like we're trying to do all of this work, but then, or I was trying to do all of this work, but then anytime I would get home, I would be on the verge of like another breakdown.
Yep.
And I would just sleep the whole weekend that I was home. I would have a weekend off and I just wouldn't be present. I wouldn't be there for my family. Mm-hmm. So this kept happening all through last year. I was just doing way too much. So I was trying to run the business full time.
Yep.
And I'd taken on a role as a full-time content creator for an assistive tech company. They were a client for 10 or 11 years. So I kind of wanted to retain that role with them, but they wanted to restructure the way that the role works. So they didn't want an outside contractor. They wanted someone employed within. But the way that I was shifting my business is I had outsourced admin and editors. Mm-hmm. And so that was a blessing and a curse, because in the back of my mind, I knew that I had this support team who were there so that I could just say yes to absolutely everything, which is what I did. Yeah. And so people told me all the time, they're like, why are you always posting in the groups, or why are you always messaging everyone looking for people to cover jobs for you? Because the instruction to my admin team was say yes to everything and then we'll get it covered. Mm-hmm. Even if it's not me there to do it, we'll get it covered. Someone else shoots it. We've got our editors who will look after the editing. So this all sounds really great and it sounds like a good plan. The big issue is that because I was so busy and mentally fatigued myself, it was like having a really big ship with no captain at the wheel. Yeah. So we had all of this work coming in, but I just wasn't present and I wasn't able to manage all of the work. I couldn't, and I kept hiring new people or new editors in mind that they would step up and be the ones supervising all of the editing work. But when you're outsourcing and you're not there and they're overseas and they're not there present with you, it's hard 100%. To really manage them properly.
You can't manage them.
So even though I would give them all this feedback and had all these expectations, it was like my clients had expectations of me and I wasn't able to deliver because I wasn't able to correctly communicate my expectations and my quality control to all of my editors. So a lot of the time I would end up having to redo a lot of the work that my editors were doing. So even though I'd paid them for the week to get one job done. So, and I was a bit unrealistic about the workload as well. Yeah. So we were shooting like 2, 3, sometimes 4, 5 jobs a day. day.
Insane capacity.
Whereas the people who I had hired on,
why did you feel the need to take so much capacity? Was it the hourly rate you were charging them? Was it?
I don't think I felt the need for it. I think it was just there coming in. And
you
my
say
natural
no because
instinct
you were like,
what I'd told my admin team was just say yes to everything, which was a mistake. Like it was just way too much. And so I was doing full-time content creation for the assistive tech
how
company.
many hours a week were you working?
How many hours are there in a week?
There is
That's how
16
many hours
okay. So pretty much every single hour of the day.
There was a week when I really started to know that there was a serious issue. Was in October. One of my biggest clients and my favorite clients is the Perth Royal Show.
Yep.
You helped me shoot that last year. Thank you so much. Because you had to help me shoot it because I was booked for other jobs that week as well. So there were a few days during that week where I didn't make it home. So I'll give you an example of
slept
my
in the
week.
car.
I slept in the car. I didn't.
That is
intend to.
workaholic material there.
No, it's very
That's
unhealthy
insane.
and it's bad. So there was a few days where we had the opening of the show, so I had to be there nice and early to get the people coming through the gates. And then we were there for a few hours during the day. And then I had an event at Crown that night. And so then I had everything that we'd shot at the show. I'd edited some of it in the office there because they needed some media photos. And then from there, I had to go straight to Crown to shoot an event there. So then I had this full day of event and an event at night.
Yeah.
And I then needed to send that stuff off to my editors. So I went to the office to upload it. When I finished around midnight. So I went from about 9 a.m., 8:30 a.m. that morning all the way through working till midnight with no break. I was either shooting, driving or editing.
Wow.
And so I had one of my editors who I needed to send stuff to, and I'd gotten a burger on the way to the office and I was exhausted, of course. And so I ate the burger in the car and I was going to go into the office to upload all of the content to send to the editor. Fell asleep in the car, woke up probably 5 o'clock in the morning, realized that I had a job down in Kwinana at, I think it was at 7:30 because I had to be back at Claremont Showgrounds by 9:30 a.m. So fell asleep in the car, unintentionally had a nap in the car and then had another full day similar scenario the next day. My week was pretty much like that. I was either not sleeping, I would skip because by the middle to the end of the week, I already had a massive backlog. So I basically had to not sleep to try and get caught up on stuff. Even though I had my editors, for whatever reason, they were never able to keep on top of the workload. I think we shot it was 30,000
insane amount of photos that day.
That week. That's a lot of photos to go through. So I was basically killing myself that week trying to keep on top of things. And that was it was a good lesson because now I know when I shoot it this year, I will have an on-site editor, someone local, not outsourced.
No. And I think that's a big thing is that I'm really big on because I recently gave the Filipino editors a go and no. Never again.
I didn't want to specify anyway.
Yeah, no. Look, I think the better way to do it is I've just opened a new job role as well, so I'm going to try and bring someone else in and actually interview people in person and try set them up here or wherever, and actually have a relationship with them. There's Josie who I'm actually supposed to be meeting with in now, but she'll be alright. So I think she's watching at the moment. So Josie will be 5 minutes. Had a bit of a story time there from Ryan. It's a very deep story. But yeah, you can see how you can kind of put things in place with the expectation and the trust on other people, and they kind of screw you over, because they just do this because it's for their own benefit kind of thing,
Yeah, and so that's kind of the same. You've said something like that just before, and it's not really them screwing you over. It's not you providing those boundaries or not communicating those boundaries with your clients. Like but my first downfall was not having boundaries within myself. Like a boundary should have been, hey, I should be in bed at least before midnight and get a decent night's sleep so I can function properly by the next day. That was the biggest thing, and that's why I ended up having to have 3 months off. Like when I had my big mental breakdown early this year, I ended up having to go to the doctor. They had to do all kinds of tests on me. Like my cortisol was through the roof. When your cortisol is too high, it suppresses all kinds of hormones, including testosterone. My iron levels were down.
And it's high because of the stress.
Exactly.
Wow. Okay.
If you're stressed, you don't sleep, then your cortisol levels don't go down.
And then the whole tower crumbles and you just...
That's exactly right.
You just want to give it all up.
I was physically... Like I would try to do emails and I would try to edit. And just, my brain just wouldn't connect with reality. Like it wouldn't like do what I needed to do. That
is burnout to the extreme right there. You drove yourself into the ground, eh? But what did you learn from it? What's like the takeaway then? So what are you obviously going to do differently? So clearly taking that capacity is a no-no. So what's like the future for Ammon? How are you gonna? Because obviously, you know, like I said, I've had a similar episodes where I was just gonna throw it all away and give up, and I think from time to time people have them, but you had that's a massive episode, man.
That was the worst that I've ever had, and the previous it's always a massive learning opportunity so that I can learn from my mistakes. And when that happens, like straight away, I knew that I needed to get back to Finn and start going through my one-on-one mentoring with him. And that's helped me kind of rebuild my foundations for myself as a person, not just me functioning as a business. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, it's not just, I'm not just working. I have a family.
And why are you working for? That's the ultimate, your family gives you purpose, and there's I guess there's no point in working so much if you're not going to enjoy
what you're able to produce
and provide for them. And that's something that it's a hard balance though, especially as a business owner, because you do just need to drive yourself into the ground sometimes, but you can get trapped in doing it too much.
You can, and that's a constant trap, I guess, is trying to find that balance. And always kind of like last year, I thought I had boundaries, and then I would always go over them. And then, so that would be like my new boundary is like, oh, I can survive on 5 hours sleep. And then it would be like, oh, I can survive on 3 hours sleep. Oh, I can go 3 days without sleep and still function like well enough to get through a job. Wow, so man. So it got pretty insane.
That's pretty insane. That's an insane story. But obviously, I think what I'm hearing is you've learned that you're obviously working for your family, and you need to be able to be present with your family.
Even that, no, I think it's more narcissistic than that. I think so my dad died at the end of 2023, and I think that created like a big like disconnect for me. Like when he died, like I just completely internalized it, and it shut off like my want to connect with anyone. Yeah. And so I found escapism in just jumping right into my work. And so because of that, like I just felt like I just needed to keep working so that I didn't have to think about the realities of life and like my connection with anyone else in my life, like my family and stuff like that.
It was your way to dissociate and
exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
And
so
it wasn't healthy.
Yeah. So and inevitably the thing that was giving you a kind of comfort kind of destroyed it all.
Yeah.
And,
but it's false comfort.
False comfort. Yeah. So it's a very deep story, Ryan. I really appreciate you sharing that as well. I kind of want to give the audience a bit of a positive takeaway on before we wrap up, because I do have a meeting, unfortunately, I need to get to. I'm a little late too. So you've obviously experienced a lot. You've gone through a lot. You had a lot of valuable things that you've experienced in life. They're clearly going to make you a stronger person in the long run, and a better business owner and a better family man. What are you taking away from all this? And what's some advice? Maybe we can have like a 30-second spiel that you can give people watching and who are running their own businesses and who might experience this. What advice would you give them?
Yeah. During my downfall, I had a couple of people who were so supportive, and I feel that if they weren't there, I might not be here today. So I think it's so important to find that support network who will keep you there mentally checked in and make sure that you're not doing things that are going to destroy your life, I guess, but kind of keeping you above water and keeping you motivated. And it was really nice to have them like consistently check in with me and just make sure that I was able to get through what I needed to get through so that I could move on to the next phase of my life and be more aware of how I feel, not just mentally, but physically, and just be mindful of how I approach like everything with business and in life, moving forward.
Yeah. You seem a lot more calmer now from the roll show, Ryan, I know. So,
oh yeah, that was a frantic week.
So you seem to be making great progress. Yeah. Ryan, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. I really appreciate it. I hope we can do it again sometime. I think you've
thank you so much.
No, my pleasure. No, thank you. It's honestly a privilege to have you on. I've been following you for a long time. You've been a great inspiration to what I do in business and what I do as a photographer. So thank you. No, I get a bit emotional because
I'm really proud of what you've been able to achieve.
Thank
as
you, man.
Well. Like,
appreciate it a lot.
Such a good job.
Thank you, man. It's hard work. It's not easy. I think as we've definitely delved in today, there's a lot of sacrifice involved as well. But we do it because we love it and we want to produce something meaningful and provide as well in the way that we want to, which is doing what we love. Yeah. So thank you all to the viewers who stuck in. We had about 100 people come through. That was a brilliant conversation. The podcast will be live on Spotify and YouTube for those currently watching. And thank you all very much. Ryan Ammon, everyone. That was a fantastic conversation. Thank you all.
Cool.